Okay, what's up, guys? It's Nacho Don, and today I am going to do my best to convey the wonderful platform that is, or let's call it an application. It's an application in the Fediverse. Let's call this the YouTube of the Fediverse. Let's call it the YouTube of the future, PeerTube. And I love the name because it's got the whole purpose of decentralization right there in the name, peer to peer, PeerTube. So let's talk about it. This is something that I am personally using and uploading on. Many of you, who have been from the BitTube.tv platform, maybe from Library. These are both great platforms. BitTube is doing a lot of active work with PeerTube, which I'm very excited about. And let's dive right into what is PeerTube and how can you get started? What should you do? So let's get right into it. So PeerTube. Well, first of all, I wanted to mention a little bit of the history, and I just learned this today. There's a difference between open source and free software, and PeerTube is free software, okay? And that's evidently an important distinction to this community because the term free software and open source, which we all know, right? Linux, GNU, actually, the GNU operating system, stands for almost the same range of programs. However, they say deeply different things about those programs based on different values. The free software movement campaigns for freedom for the users of computing. It is a movement of freedom and justice. By contrast, the open source idea mainly values mainly practical advantage and does not campaign for principles. This is why we do not agree with open source and do not use that term. So, I'm not going to get into too much of that, but it's important to know that the whole free software movement, which is what PeerTube is, and what PeerTube is a part of, and I'm going to get more into that as we go along, is a very principled movement, okay? And for me, when I read that, I was like, wow, this just gets better and better. So let's move along. Let's talk about centralized versus decentralized, okay? Now, I'm going to use an example here from an image I found, which is talking about cryptocurrencies, but we can apply anything to this. On the left side here, where it's under centralized, you see the users are basically spokes around a wheel. And inside are the hubs. The hubs are the centralized, gated companies in this sense. Now, in this sense, they're talking about cryptocurrency exchanges. You come to the exchange, you give them your money, and they let you transact and they let you trade with Joe, but the money's got to flow through them. Okay, pretty common sense, right? It's the same way with Facebook. You could substitute these companies in the middle for Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, anything else. You come to them, and if you want to communicate with someone else, you got to abide by the wheels rules, the hub, and you have to pass through there. And if you do everything correctly and you don't say anything offensive, your message can get to the other person and you can remain as a spoke on this wheel. Whereas in decentralized, we're all connected to each other one way or another. Some of us aren't connected to each other, but the kind of 6 degrees of separation thing, we can connect to each other if we choose to. And that is what PeerTube is. And I am going to get into a little bit more of this centralized versus decentralized. Decentralized is freedom. It is the future. It is dealing with each other rather than dealing with a central intermediary or a huge company. In this case, we have YouTube, right? We know what's going on with YouTube and all the censorship that's happening. But if you don't abide by their rules, and it is their company, they're allowed to make their rules, they can simply ban you from the platform, demonetize you, and all of the nice things that you got so accustomed to, they can change the rules overnight. Whereas with peer-to-peer, you might lose some relationships. People might decide, that they don't want to do business with you, or they don't want to look at your content because they find your ideas disgusting. I'm used to that. But you can filter yourself, and that is the world that I want, and that is the world I believe that you should want too. not with a company controlling your actions, but with you able to make your own decisions. So let's move on to what makes all of this possible. This is called ActivityPub. So this is a protocol, and this is basically what connects all of it together. So let's move along here. Let's see. I like this, right? ActivityPub.rocks. Don't you miss the days when the web was really the world's greatest decentralized network? Before everything got locked down into a handful of walled gardens? So do we. Walled gardens being Facebook, walled gardens being YouTube, walled gardens being Twitter. Okay? So in this image, the actor reads incoming messages, the actor sends outgoing messages, and who gets them? The rest of the world. Okay, the rest of the world. That's the power of a decentralized network. Really, anyone can get your message, and you can get messages from the rest of the world, and you do it directly with them. Anyone who taps into you, into your network, or in this case, yourself, right, will get your messages, and you can get their messages. Okay, and it's really that simple. So enter ActivityPub. ActivityPub is a decentralized social networking protocol based on the ActivityStream's 2.0 data format. ActivityPub is an official W3C recommended standard published by the W3C Social Web Working Group. It provides a client to server API for creating, updating, and deleting content, as well as a federated server to server API for delivering notifications and subscribing to content. So, a little bit of a peek into what I'm going to get into here in the future is what ActivityPub is it allows not only us to go peer-to-peer with each other, but it allows different apps to talk to each other. In other words, it enables Twitter to talk, the version of Twitter here, which is called Mastodon, to talk to PeerTube, and PeerTube to talk to Mastodon, and other apps, and anything that's going to be created in the future will have this protocol to be able to communicate with each other on. Okay, so let's move along here. So let's just look at like a comment that was made on Reddit about something somebody noticed when they went to PeerTube. So someone said, peer-to-peer is an open source decentralized YouTube alternative. And then someone writes, except what actually happened is that the site became known for being a haven to white nationalists. And so no one wants to go there but white nationalists. It's exactly what happened to Gab and Vote. Now I don't even know what Vote is, but or Voat or whatever that site is. But this person is getting incensed, but without knowledge. Okay, because what does CD-ROM reply here? This is a guy who's actually been instrumental in helping me put together this video, so thank you, CD-ROM. What site? There is no PeerTube website. Do you mean dia.zone or share.tube, or do you mean video.blender.org, or any of another 1,000 of them? PeerTube is just the source code and the network you create where you get to decide who should be a part of it and who shouldn't. So this person was complaining without knowledge because, yes, you might go there and you might find that there are a bunch of vociferous people expressing themselves because probably they've been shunned elsewhere, okay? And they're able to come and create their own communities. Now, one of the things that you see, there's no website called PeerTube. So let's just get that out of the way right now. You can't go to peertube.com, just because we're so acclimated into facebook.com, twitter.com, Snapchat, whatever. It's not like that. These are going to be all different websites talking to each other, okay? And the best way, the most simple way I can describe it is like email. It's a protocol, right? So you might like Gmail. Years ago, I remember having one of the, using Hotmail. A lot of people still use Yahoo. The thing is, these are run by different companies, but they use the same protocol. So Gmail can talk to Yahoo, and Yahoo can talk to Hotmail, and Hotmail can talk to Gmail, and so on. And if somebody wants to make a new email service tomorrow, they can make an email service. We have some sort of new additions like Proton Mail, which is more private, right? And they've improved on it. They promise to your privacy. So we have, but they can still all talk to each other. So that's powerful. Now, Gmail might be more overbearing and big brother than, of course, Proton Mail is, okay? But the fact is you can still communicate with somebody from Gmail through your Proton Mail, okay? So hopefully that helps a little bit. So let's talk about instances, okay? So instances are what make up PeerTube, okay? So when we go back to this comment here, and CD-ROM was saying, well, what site are you talking about? There is no PeerTube website. Well, let's look at one of those websites. This is called bittube.video, and this is one of the many thousands of what's called instances. This is basically servers that are using the ActivityPub protocol and also the PeerTube software, so that we're going to see some similar things on all of these what's called instances. And one would be local video. So right now I'm on the local tab. This is my my PeerTube account. Even though it says bittube.video, you have to remember bittube.video is on PeerTube. PeerTube is like the world of these videos, right? Like the universe, right? Whereas bittube.video is a server in that, or servers. Maybe they have thousands of servers, right? They could be, you can be a big instance, you could be a single instance. I could run my own instance called nachodon.com, and I could have my own server in my own home, and I could serve it up to anybody who comes around. Now, one of the powerful things, now you might say, well, Don, what if you made a video that people actually wanted to watch, and it just blew up, and then eventually there were more people on PeerTube, and how could you handle serving that out to, if it went viral for 1 million views? Well, that's one of the beauties of the PeerTube software, is that yes, I'm hosting it, so I am one peer. But the minute one of my videos would go viral, the software is created in such a way that it would start to use different peers to share parts of the video together through WebTorrent, I believe, and that would then lift the load off my little server on nacho.com PeerTube, right? And so the viral video that I made would start being shared amongst the users that were watching it, and therefore they can there would be, theoretically no lag and all that. They would be sharing the video, okay? And if you've ever used like Pirate Bay or things like that, and you had seeders, I think it's a similar process. But for for videos that were not viral, they would be coming basically to me to download or not download, but to stream the video from my server. So there's always going to be one seed, and in this case, if I had my own nachodon.com seed or instance, in this case, PeerTube instance, then I can do that, and I would just host all my own videos. And that's a beautiful thing, because you can host your own videos now, okay? And this is all free. Remember what I touched on in the beginning, free software. So bittube.video has bigger aspirations, right? They're going to maybe turn this into some kind of business model where they can host large amounts of video for a small price or for a charge, and there's other products I know that they're developing. So this is an example of how, if for those of you who are very knowledgeable about servers, who might have servers of your own, and you might be able to even turn this into a business. So bittube.video is where I am hosting, they are hosting my videos, and I'm very happy to upload them there. And so on the local, we can see all the different videos that are here on the local instance. So right now I'm looking at only the members of BitTube.video. So that's a smaller world, right? Now there will be big instances and there will be tiny instances, such as my example that I gave at nachodon.com, which I don't have right now, but if I did. And then we can, these are all videos on this particular instance. You see there are some of mine, some I just uploaded, right? Now let's go over to Discover, and now we're gonna go into the PeerTube universe, right? So now we're getting out of just the local of BitTube.video, and now we're going out into the wild, and we're saying, show me what else is out there. Show me things outside of BitTube.video. And now we are outside of BitTube.video, and we are seeing things from all different types of things. This one here is on a PeerTube. Well, I don't know what it says. We can click on it, but let me get another one that's not hyphenated. Look at this one. This one is a video on video.autismo.xyz. So somebody is running an instance. Now, I don't know if this is a single person. I don't know if maybe it's a family, maybe it's a small business. But the point is that we can find each other's content here in the PeerTube universe, and all of the different instances are able to communicate with each other through the PeerTube implementations, software, and through ActivityPub. And it just gets better from here. So, and of course, this is always being improved, okay? So this is still pretty young, but it's growing. And there's no way to stop this, because here's the thing, okay? Now people might say, one of the misnomers is, oh, well, what makes it decentralized is the fact that it's peer-to-peer. No, as I mentioned earlier, peer-to-peer only helps things work a lot more smoothly in this situation when a video goes viral, when there's so many users that my little server just can't handle it. So the software is smart enough to be able to distribute the load and then people who are watching it will be sharing with each other. Okay, so that is not what makes it decentralized. What makes it decentralized are all of these different instances in the PeerTube universe. Okay, and there's a good video. Little video about PeerTube, but I'm trying to explain it here. So we have all these different instances, such as, look at this one. This video is on tubenix.org. Here's this one on vault.mle.party. Here's this one on pony.tube. So these are all on totally different servers, most likely in completely different parts of the world, not run by the same person or the same company or anything, but here we all are together. And so this is the essence of what makes it decentralized. We have servers everywhere, and even if the powers that shouldn't be wanted to come down and smack down one instance, there's thousands or millions, hopefully one day, millions of instances. And they would just have to be playing whack-a-mole all day long. And this is what makes this unstoppable. And this is what will make this unbeatable. And this is what will make this, I believe, it will grow and grow and grow. And as the software becomes more refined, and as the search becomes more refined, and can parry things like YouTube and do things in a similar way, as in terms of search and things like that, things will just get better and better, and then we will be all connected to each other through free software, PeerTube. So let's move on here. So hopefully you get that idea. So right here, I'm basically in what's called the federation, or I call it the PeerTube universe, right? With all these different instances. Some will be big. I think BitTube.video is striving to be a big one, where they can say, come to us, we will safely host your content. We only have a few rules. We don't allow porn, we don't allow this. And while I'm on that, let me just touch base on the fact that instances can make their own rules. And they can decide to censor other instances. Basically say, we're not gonna connect to you. You're a pornography instance. We don't want pornography, so we're gonna cut you off completely. We don't want our users to see your stuff. And the pornography might say, well, we don't want any religious stuff. We don't want our users to see any religious stuff, so they can cut off the religious stuff. That's freedom of choice, right? Okay, so this is what the instances can do at their level. So it's important, it will be important that if you're not running your own instance, that you find an instance that you're comfortable with and that you can, that maybe represents your values, or aren't going to show you tons of things that you just don't agree with, right? So let's move on from here. And so how do you do that? Well, look at this. This is called joinpeertube.org. Joinpeertube.org. And you can go on here and find the best instances that suit you. So these are for people where you're not running your own instance. So you can come here, and then you can find instances that you can that will work for you. So here's a filter. What are you, a viewer, video maker? Do you want to create an account? Do you want to discover instances? Let's just say I was a viewer. I want to discover instances. I like music. I like films. I like gaming. Okay. Sensitive videos. What do you want them to blur it? Do you want them to just display it like it's no big deal? You're not opposed to porn or whatever. You might hit no opinion, okay, or display. I'm going to hit blur because I would appreciate those stuff blurred. And then look what comes up. Well, here are the instances. These are just this one only follows one instance though. So I would never join this instance right on the top because it's only following one other instance, and they're like, there are hundreds of instances. So why would I want to follow that one? But then I get down to this one, and it says that this one follows 412 instances. Okay, now, here's one, PeerTube Live. Oh, they follow 850 instances. They blur the content, sensitive content, which I like because I don't want my eyes being subject to things I don't want to be subject to. And they are censorship-free. PeerTube is a live, decentralized, censorship-free video platform that can't be controlled by any person. So they're kind of pumping up PeerTube and not even bringing attention to themselves. So that's kind of cool, right? They're basically saying we're PeerTube.live. So whoever is running this, or whatever group of people is running this, it seems like their most important thing is to get the whole PeerTube out there, follow as many instances as possible, and be a little bit sensitive to those people like me who might not want to see those things. So we can pull up this instance, and remember I just showed you the BitTube instance? Well, this is the PeerTube instance. Now, doesn't it look familiar, right? It looks a little like the BitTube one, but you know what I noticed here is you don't have a local. Now, they might say, look, we're not about local. We don't believe in local. We believe everything should be connected, and that's why they're connected to so many instances. So whoever is running the instance has made the decision to be very open and to be very connected to as many instances as possible, and I like that. And so they don't have a local thing. And you know what? I'm not against that. I kind of like that. Whereas BitTube is using the standard format, and you can go and discover out in the Federation, out in the PeerTube universe, as I called it, or you can stay local and say, hey, what are the people on BitTube video doing, and like that. Okay, so there is a tool here for you to find instances that you might be comfortable with, and I would encourage you to use that. Okay, so let's move along. From PeerTube Live. This is the symbol that I've noticed has been used, or symbol or illustration, has been used for something called the Fediverse. It's federation. Now, one of the beauties of the ActivityPub protocol that I talked about in the beginning is the fact that this enables applications such as PeerTube to talk to completely different applications. Okay, so imagine if we were on YouTube and we were able to talk to Twitter. In other words, you're on your Twitter and you see, oh, my YouTube video, I have a YouTube channel, and I just got a comment on my video, on my YouTube video that I put up this morning. Now, what would you have to, you probably have to go back to your YouTube and answer it. But no, with this, you don't even have to do that. You can answer it right from your Twitter. In this case, it's called Mastodon. And I'm sorry if it's getting a little bit confusing. But basically what happens here is, remember, this is free software. So the idea is to connect as many things as possible, to connect as many applications as possible, to have them communicating with each other. As you see, these dots are all connected. And any future app will be able to communicate with PeerTube. Any future app that's built on the activity, uses the ActivityPub protocol, will become part of this Fediverse, this federation. And this is just a small example. Imagine this if it had 100 dots, different apps. You've got the decentralized version of Twitter. You got the decentralized version of Instagram. You got the decentralized version of Reddit. You got the decentralized version of YouTube, which is already here in PeerTube. So all of these things are able to talk to each other and share information, and it's just really beautiful. So let's move on, and I want to play a little bit of this video because I think it explains federation pretty good. And it's using Mastodon as an example. Mastodon is the Fediverse's, that uses ActivityPub, the Fediverse's version of Twitter, and it's very, very good. Actually, the most users on currently that are on the Fediverse, okay, would be Mastodon for sure. It's very slick. It works really well, and they've gotten a lot of people who've been kicked off of certain platforms have that, like the Twitter format of being able to communicate quick in real time. They have gravitated towards Mastodon, and I think this will just get bigger and bigger. So, but when you watch this video, I would ask you to simply substitute PeerTube when you see Mastodon, because remember, they're brothers. They are basically brothers. Remember, any app that is going to be built on the ActivityPub protocol will essentially be part of the same family. They will eat at the same dinner table. They will share in the same food. They will share in a lot of the same values. They aren't going to be the same, right? Just like around, if you grew up in a big family like me, you're going to have your brothers and sisters are going to be a lot different than you, but you're going to share a lot in common as well, okay? And this is the beauty of, I just came up with that. That's called family, right? So this is a family, the ActivityPub family, okay? So let's take a look at this video.
Faced a lot of controversy, and without getting too much into the details, I want to highlight just one in this video: centralization. When we're using Facebook or Twitter, we are effectively trusting a single company with all of our data. And not just that, they also control what posts are allowed on their platforms. If yours don't follow the rules, your account can be shut down, and there's nothing you can do about that. So how can we solve this? Well, we could make social media more decentralized, and that brings us to the main topic of the video: Mastodon, an open source project that wants to put social networking back into your hands. At least that's what the tagline says. In a nutshell, Mastodon is basically like Twitter. Tweets are called toots, and they can be up to 500 characters long versus only 280. You can also follow people you find interesting and retweet or boost tweets that you like. So how is it different then? For starters, Mastodon isn't controlled by one company. It's an open project, and everyone can grab a copy of the code and set up their own Mastodon server, also referred to as an instance. What's more, the owner of an instance is often a member of the community, and they define the rules for their server. If those are in conflict with what you want to post, you simply find another server to register your account. This is a choice you don't have with traditional social networks. And the best part is that each Mastodon server can communicate with the others, meaning if you signed up for one instance, you'll still be able to interact with the users on another one. This model for decentralization is called federated, and it can be best compared to email. You see, there are many email providers out there, like Gmail, Outlook, and Yahoo Mail. I can sign up for Gmail while you can sign up for Outlook, and yet we're able to send each other emails. That's because email servers speak the same language. They all use a standard protocol to communicate. The same is true for Mastodon servers. They communicate with each other using ActivityPub. It's a standard protocol that defines how a server should handle new user posts and how they can be interacted with, like sharing, replying, or liking posts. But ActivityPub is not limited to Mastodon. Other applications can also implement it, and that's where the magic happens. Let me give you a concrete example. PeerTube, a website similar to YouTube which also implements ActivityPub. And because of that, Mastodon users can follow a PeerTube user. If that user posts a new video, it will pop up on the feed of the Mastodon user. I mean, how cool is that? Any platform or application that implements ActivityPub becomes a part of a massive social network. Imagine being able to use your Facebook account to follow your friends on other platforms like Twitter and YouTube without needing an account there. This big social network is also called the Fediverse, and it already has a ton of services. For microblogging, you can use Mastodon or Friendica. For video hosting, there is PeerTube and Funwhale. For image hosting, you can use PixelFed, and for regular blogging, you can use Plume or WriteAss. You could even say that the Fediverse prevents lock-in. One of the reasons why Facebook has gotten so big is because people have to join it before they can participate. And once you're in, Facebook tries to keep you in. They intentionally make their platforms closed, but in the Fediverse, the opposite is happening. More platforms are being built on top of the ActivityPub protocol because that means that they can see and interact with all of the content out there. Sounds great, right? I was so convinced that I decided to sign up for Mastodon.
Okay, so, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a great little video by Self-Explained channel here on what I assume is a PeerTube exode.me. I would think that this is a PeerTube video. Anyway, some of it was a little bit of what I just told you, a little bit quicker. I played at 1.5 time speed, but you get the idea. There are things being built, and the most exciting thing is what's going to be built in the future on top of this ActivityPub protocol, and how PeerTube can communicate with Mastodon and Mastodon with PeerTube. And remember, this is all free software. We're not asking for anybody's permission to do this. We're not asking for Twitter to build us something. This can all be built today and more. Now, you say, well, what if, PeerTube can't do these things YouTube does, and YouTube does this better, and YouTube does this better. Well, guess what? Well, there are plugins. Because this is free software, I almost said open source, but because this is free software, anybody is free to manipulate, change it for the better, make changes to it that you're willing to share. That's one of the conditions I learned of free software. And once you make changes to the software, you need to be willing to share those changes with the larger community. And there are plugins that you can make for these like apps, let's call them, right? Like a PeerTube, which can bring features that you want. Okay, so let's look at some of those. Now, here's somebody who I'm adding donate buttons to the comments via the plugin made by PeerTube.BitTube. There's BitTube, right? Because BitTube is going to be doing great things for this community, I assure you. It already is. And this person needed to add a hook to know when the comments are loaded and when to load more comments. When the load more comments on the scroll screen is being triggered, would be nice to add it to the Federation in order to keep my plugin compatible with it. So here he is, and he's talking on the GitHub and getting these kind of things implemented, and you can do that too. Here is the example of the BitTube Airtime module plugin, which if you run an instance, you can just use this plugin, and guess what? Immediately you're allowing your users to partake in a monetization system where they can tip each other in cryptocurrency. In this case, the cryptocurrency is called Tube, and I'm not here to talk about that, but you are able to donate. So let's go back to the BitTube.video instance, and I'll just show you an example of a plugin. So here's a video, and this is on my, I'm looking at this as a viewer now, right? So if I go to this Truth Research by Vegan Earther, and I look at this video, and if I like it, right, I'm already subscribed to this person. If I want to, I can donate here, right? So this is from a plugin. So now you have monetization on a decentralized video platform. Okay, you will never even see something like this on YouTube, or you might, but then you're going to have to go through their banking channels, and they're going to take their fee, just like they do on the super chats. They take 30% of your money, and this, you're going to get it all. And so this is a wonderful plugin, a wonderful example of a plugin which BitTube has made, and BitTube is already contributing so much, I believe, to the PeerTube community, and it's only going to ramp up and get a lot better. Let's take a look at another plugin. okay, so this is a guy that when I first came across PeerTube, I watched some of his videos and I was like, wow, this is a wonderful fellow, very intelligent, talking about the things that I was just getting into. This is a couple months ago. Chris Ware, and look at his little plug-in here. It's a support button plug-in, right? Because this won't be standard if you just go to any instance. But if you run an instance and you want to put in this button for support, well, how can I support him? I click on it. Okay. Well, he doesn't have. I would have a Bitcoin address in there. I would have more ways to support me. But I could go to his video. I could go to his website there, and this is all Chris is asking for at this moment. But I'm sure that you can put other things in here. He says his website, and there's his Mastodon. Okay, maybe later. Maybe I'll support you later, Chris. If you get that bittube.video plugin, and I'll love to tip you in some too. So think about that, Chris. So anyway, we'll move over and let's look at, this is an example of, PeerTube index. Now I have no idea who made this, but I could go here and I could type in something like coronavirus, right? And let's see what comes up. Okay, there's some videos coming up, right? You could imagine this would be all over the board. But the point is somebody made a video, I'm not a video, they made an indexing, they made a PeerTube index, okay? I think is this the New York library? I don't remember these windows, but it sure looks like it. I remember sitting at these tables. But anyway, here's a PeerTube index. So imagine all the things that are going to be built because this is free software. This is totally open source. Many of you will know the word open source. Free software is like taking that even to another level that has an ideological and principled bent to it. So imagine this open source free software being used now to benefit humanity, and geniuses out there everywhere. If you're a genius, get working on this stuff, please, and help out the guys that are doing such a good job already. This is so important for humanity, and I hope you realize that with everything that's going on in the world right now. So let's take a quick look at, somebody was complaining, well, why can't I watch this video through another instance? And this person said this one thing, and they said, because bittube.video chose not to federate with this one, you can check this yourself by following this. And again, this is CD-ROM. This guy does a lot for the community here, right? You can write a message to bittube.video and ask them to get involved. I actually went to the CEO of the company, BitTube, and I asked him about this, and he did say that he said that basically they weren't allowing them to connect. So it was something about this particular instance that they weren't allowing BitTube to connect to them. Okay, so that's that. Hopefully they'll straighten that out. Okay, so here is, if you go to the bittube.video, again, this is just an instance, one of the instances on PeerTube that I use, and that's why I'm showing it. And they're doing cool things for PeerTube, such as the monetization. And this is who they are following. Look at all the instances. Remember that list? So they're following hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of instances, and these are the instances that are following BitTube. And hopefully that will grow a lot more too, because there's going to be a lot of content on the BitTube instance, because they're offering 50 gigabytes for totally free. So I would imagine that that would grow. But you could start to see here all of these different sites are all connected through this free software. We don't need Google anymore. We don't need YouTube. We don't need Twitter. We don't need them like yesterday. And it's not just because they suck. It's because we have replacements for them. We have something much better. The key is, how do we get the sheep right, to wake up and become, aware, and then come over and say, oh, this is much better. This is more free. This is more open. It's not going to always work as perfectly as maybe a YouTube would. Remember, these are for-profit companies, and they're narrowed in on creating their walled-in gardens and making it as beautiful as possible, but the food is not very nutritious that you get in this garden, okay? It's all GMO food, okay? So let's face it, this is the organic garden here. This PeerTube, ActivityPub, the connection of free software, free applications that are using this free connected software that can be built on by anybody, is organic food compared to GMO food, okay? The GMO food might look better even. It might look fantastic, but what is it doing to your insides, okay? Think about that. That is literally the difference here, and I think I just made a great analogy, so I'll just give myself a little pat on the back. So let's move on. Oh, I'm just gonna take this right from the comment of CD-ROM. CD-ROM is the PeerTube man, is what I'm realizing. And God bless you, bro. God bless you. But misconceptions worth mentioning. No, PeerTube is not decentralized. I already said that because of web torrents, but because they use ActivityPub protocol. This is a misconception that is because it's web torrents, okay? Web torrents only help reduce the server load and bandwidth. Remember I told you about that if I mentioned my video going viral. Web torrents are optional. They can be turned off. He says, yes, an IP may be leaked. Okay, but the good news is that it can be disabled on the instances level or individually by each user. PeerTube is not relying strictly on P2P, peer-to-peer, to deliver us those videos. All videos have at least one seed. I already mentioned that. Worth mentioning, in 2008, when Blender was blocked by YouTube, they set up a PeerTube instance, which is still active. So imagine that. When this company was blocked by YouTube, they went to PeerTube, and they were able to put up their video, and nobody can stop them. That's because they are running their own instance. It's very easy for instance administrators to monetize their instance. All they have to do is offer different plans at sign up. Again, remember, I was mentioning that this could be a business model, okay? The more expensive that plan is, the more space they can get. This is just an example. They could start with a free plan, which would offer 10 gigabytes of space, and then for $3 a month, you get 15 gigs, and so on and so forth. Such a plugin for PeerTube doesn't yet exist, but since PeerTube is that free open software, right, FOSS, anyone can develop one and make it available to everyone else as well. A similar monetization method Vimeo is using, so it's very efficient. So just think of the business models that can even be born out of this. Because free software doesn't mean, I think that the example is that they use is, free software doesn't mean, or freedom, freedom of ideas doesn't mean free beer. The server space costs money. So, and that's another thing, right? We have to get away from free, right? Because nothing is free. YouTube and all of that, they monetize you by selling your data, and just come on, I don't need to get into that, right? I don't want to lecture about that. If you don't understand what's going on with that, you need to really wake up. But the point is here that now we can pay, and we can find, there'll be a competitive marketplace for space. And maybe BitTube.video will offer something. Maybe PeerTube.live, another instance I showed you, will say, look, we'll offer you 100 gigabytes at the same price. And maybe there'll be some good, healthy competition there. Maybe one service will be better. The streams will be better. The video delivery will be better at one than another. And we'll have systems of reputation and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is wonderful. Free market combined with free software. Freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, freedom of content, freedom to censor if you want to have your own instance and make your own little world, you know, and just have a Dungeons and Dragons type world and block everything else out. You can do that too. So it's very, very cool, very powerful, very liberating towards humanity, and that's why I am so proud to be part of the BidTube.video is the guys I kind of work with, but I'm just so happy that this PeerTube exists and that all the hard work that went into this. So thank you to you devs out there. I don't know you, but I already love you. All right, and so this is the language. I am not a developer, so I cannot intelligently talk about this stuff so much, but this is TypeScript. So for you devs out there who might be watching this, TypeScript, this is what they use, all right? Check it out, all right? That is the language. Now, here is the GitHub. Okay, so the boss here seems to be this guy named Choco Boz. Choco Boz? Choco Boz. Choco Boz. I like that. I like that. A cool name. Look at all the commits this guy has. So this guy's crushing it. Obviously, I don't know. Maybe he invented PeerTube. I don't really even know the whole history yet. Okay, don't kill me for that. But this is the GitHub, and then Rig Elk. Hey, shout out to you, man. 368 commits. So we got these two guys. These are the two guys that you probably got to run things through because they're kind of seem like they're running the show. And then we've got all these other contributors. Why don't you get involved? Why don't you use your brain to contribute to this project? And so, you know, at the last I want to say here is please get involved. And please, if you're a developer, if you're a genius, if you can do these things, if you already know TypeScript, okay, please get in there and please help make this world a better place. Help Chocoboss, help Rig Elk, help these guys to make PeerTube a wonderful YouTube, not alternative, YouTube destroyer. That's what we want to do. We want to destroy it. We want to make YouTube relevant, okay? And I think that this can eventually happen here. Let's take a look at, okay, so this is my Mastodon. I'm just going to be closing out here, and I just wanted to show you the power of how the apps talk to each other. Now, in fairness, I am having a little bit of a problem at the moment with my video app, which is PeerTube, connecting or talking to my Mastodon. So I did find a little video by Chocoboz himself, it looks like, and he's going to show you how Mastodon and PeerTube comments talk to each other, and this is just one example of the power of the Fediverse and the power of ActivityPub. Here it is. Now I'll narrate because there's no sound in this. So he's logging in. He's checking out Chocoboz. So there's Chocoboz. He's following him, right? And he's another user in this video. So now he's going to upload a video. So he uploads the video to his PeerTube, and he's going to title it. And there it is. He just added it to his PeerTube. So this is on his PeerTube. Now he's going to his Mastodon, which is on a totally different server, maybe in a different part of the world. And look, it showed up because he's following him. So the Chocoboz trailer popped up in, did you catch that? So let me just stop that for a second. So this guy, Joe, on the left, when he followed Chocoboz, once Chocoboz, so picture these being two totally different users, all right? I realize there's one guy doing a demonstration, but when Chocoboz uploaded his video, because Joe had followed him earlier, Chocoboz's video appeared, boom, right in his timeline, okay? Right, boom, there it is. And now Joe gets notified of it, and Joe is making a comment to Chocoboz saying, "That's awesome." So here he is. He's writing, "Awesome!" exclamation part, and he toots it. So at this point, this is just a tweet, and he's tweeting through his Mastodon. Remember, two totally separate apps, okay? Separate servers, separate everything, but connected by ActivityPub protocol, right? There's the power, there's the beauty, and I needed to show you this demonstration of this. So now we go back over to Chocoboz, goes to his site, and he sees, voila, the comment is in his feed right under his video. Now, that is super, super powerful. And when he replies back to him from his PeerTube, watch what happens on Joe's. Watch what happens on Joe's Twitter. He gets it. Again, not Twitter. This is Mastodon, but it's very, very similar than Twitter, only better. I'm serious. I'm serious when I say that. Okay, and he gets the comment right in his Twitter line. So you can comment, you can answer your comments from your videos from basically your Mastodon. This is super powerful. So I hope you get that, and I hope you understand too that when you go to, let me just close with this. When you go to BitTube, it's very, very easy. Look at this, upload, right? I upload videos from my iPhone like every day. It's so easy. And you can have multiple channels. I have 4 channels here, as you can see. It's just super, everything is so intuitive here, and it's so easy to upload, and it's so easy to make different channels for yourself. I do this because I have different interests. So I have a Christian channel, and I have a hoax channel, and I have one that's about crypto and stuff, and then I have one that's about everything else. And it's so easy to upload, and it's really a pleasure to use. It's simple, it's really wonderful, and it works well. And I'm just so excited. All I want to do is just get like millions and millions of more people over here, and thousands of more instances, so that we can just break free from these criminals in this world, and really have freedom of information, freedom of news, freedom of all the content that we love. And that's it. I'm gonna sign off for now. I hope you learned something from this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.